Okay, so this is going to be a quick video where I'll be breaking down gold for the coming week, right? And the potential moves which we can see on gold for the next week. So let's get started up with this thing. Just like analyze gold. So let's just remove all these analysis and just let's do it again. Okay, so looking at this thing, this is a weekly time frame in gold right now, right? So like candles can differ definitely because of the liquidity providers and all that. So I'm using Oanda right now, and the candles would be different on the different liquidity providers. So there's nothing to worry about. But now let's get started up with this video, right? So looking at this weekly time frame right now, we can see that these weekly rejections to the left hand side, which is basically the 1870 areas, have been holding up pretty much strong for us, right? Let's just mark it up quickly, and let's draw a square around this thing. So as you can see, like this thing has been holding up pretty much well, and this area has been rejected up twice, in last 2 weeks, right? Like on lower time frames this would have rejected up multiple times, but right now looking at this thing, it's rejecting pretty much from these areas on the weekly time frame. If you look at the monthly time frame will tell you one thing, that this was a kind of a support, or like a resistance zone which was there on the monthly time frame. Price now close below this thing, and did a fake out in April, right? Then the next month, the May, it was like a bloodbath for us based upon the monthly. This fake out was being confirmed up here. Now looking at the price action, yeah, it's simple that right now the next candle, what can it can do, it can move up to create up a top wick, and then flip bearish and maybe fill this wick, or continue down to these areas of support, right? So this is something which I'm looking upon the monthly time frame. And looking at the weekly time frame, these ideas are getting confirmed up, as you see price rejecting up from these areas of rejection on the weekly time frame, which is basically the 1870s areas, right? So at this point, price can basically do something like this, price breaking impulsively to downside for breaking these rejection areas to the left hand side on the weekly time frame. Then price going to retest these areas, but failing to break above these 1870s areas, which is our rejections on the weekly time frame. And price maybe can do something like this, right? This is going to be kind of like something break and retest kind of things, and this can again come down to retest these previous lows, which lows or the support zone which price has actually created up, right? So this is aligning up with the monthly time frame as well, and the weekly time frame as well. Now let's look at the daily time frame. What has the daily time frame got for us? So looking at the daily time frame, this level looks like pretty much good, because like this has been holding up pretty well, and it's forming up resistance here, right? Let's just this, yeah. Now, so looking at this thing on the daily time frame, you can see pretty much that this fake out, I have noticed this fake out a lot of times, right? Like these areas have been an area of daily fake out, and we need to deal with these areas, right? Like look at this thing. Previously price took support from here, then price broke through this thing, came up to retest the areas around this level, and then it broke through as well. And when price came on to these areas, the next time, it gave us a fake out and kind of gave us some bearish move, pull back to these areas of fake out, and giving us some move to the downside again. And now it's like price is giving fake out once again. So looking at this daily time frame, it's pretty much easy to see that we are having this range to trade, this one, right? Now looking at this thing, this is the range to trade on this. We got the fake out, like we got somewhere exactly here, so this is the range to trade on the daily time frame. And the next candle, we can see it doing something, making up a top wick, and maybe continuing down to below to the lows of this range, like the where the areas of support are present, right? So this is something which I'll be looking up, and let's mark it up these zones as the daily support zones, right? because these are pretty much the areas of importance for us, as price will definitely have some kind of reaction once it taps onto these areas, right? So this is pretty much the range on the daily, and this is the idea which I'm having. Like if this is moving up in a range, so might happen that it can take time like this thing to continue down, like price rejecting up somewhere here, first of all ranging, and then giving you the move to the downside, right? Something like that can happen. And now let's look on to the 4h time frame. So looking at the 4h time frame, things are looking pretty much good. I'll just adjust this level according to the 4h time frame. Now as you can see here, these areas are pretty much important areas for us, right? This one, all just because these areas are the support areas, or maybe a demand area, or order block, or whatever you guys want to call it. But these areas are very very important areas for us, right? Looking at this thing, like the price has been dropping down, and look, if we look on the daily time frame, if this is a fake out, valid fake out because of these levels of support, price should like price can move up at least up to these areas, but price should not close above these areas, because price once it's closing above these areas, it can retest this area and continue moving down up to these 1870s areas to retest up these highs once again, right? And if the price has to stay below, has to go down, it has to respect of these 1860s levels because of these fake out levels, right? And you can also see it here, like if you just delete this data, you can very easily look here that this was a fake out, and this was a support zone on the daily time frame. We got the down move, then we got fake out from here, and once we got the fake out, price respected up these areas pretty well and rejected from there and came down, right? If price would have broken above these areas, this levels 1860 levels, then price had very high probability to go and move up to these 1870s areas, right? So something like something similar is what I'm expecting up right now on the daily time frame. Because of this fake out, price will have to stay below these 1816 areas if it has to go down to continue moving to the downside of this range which we discussed about on the daily time frame, which is this one, right? So let's look on the 4h how it's telling. Now looking at this 4h time frame, it's easy to say that we can get some kind of a reaction from this particular point, right? Why? All just because this I see is it as an order block, or maybe as a demand zone, or a area of support for us, right? And also price, it has been trading to the downside without having any bullish candle except for this doji. And we can see some kind of pullbacks, before it moves again to the downside, because we all know that this is how trend moves, right? In waves, like creates lower highs and lower lows and all. So pullbacks do make sense. So this is an ideal zone from where we can actually get some kind of pullbacks, right? Now let's look at the 1h time frame, and let's adjust these zones according to the 1h time frame. And now looking at this thing, it's pretty much easy to say that we have really very good nice and good clean traffic for us to drive price to the upside. And if you notice, this is an area of support on the 1h time frame, which was acting as a resistance previously, and now this is the support zone. Now basically for taking buys, buys and sells right now, sales look pretty good, but we know that these 4h areas are the areas of contention, or the areas of interest for us, where price can actually have some kind of a reaction, right? So basically, if you want, you can take sales below these areas, but be very cautious about taking sales. It can do something like this, and maximum target should be this for sales. Don't be greedy, and try to hold your trade all the way down to this area, because we don't know what can happen. Like it might happen that price just go below these areas and just continue melting down, but we don't know what's gonna happen, right? We're just following the price action and what's present in front of us on the charts, right? So So sells do make sense below these areas and can be till here. And for taking buys, for taking buys, we need to have some kind of patience, because buys are definitely, like kind of looks like counter trending the higher time frames, right? So look for better confirmations while taking buys. Right now, if we this thing breaks above price breaks above these 1850 levels, then buys can be short lived, and also it can happen that the price is just giving you fake out from these areas to continue moving down, right? So better buys are going to be when the resistance is created, like let me show you, right? Look at this thing right now, the price is trading to the upside, right? It's kind of creating some sort of support, right? Now if it has to go down breaking these below these levels and go here, so this is going to be our range, the main range, right? The main range to trade. So if the price is coming down, this will create some kind of resistance here, right? So just, yeah, this red candle, okay, so this will create some kind of resistance here and will continue moving down something like this. And then if it has to move up particularly, it will do something like this. Like, I'm not drawing the wicks right now, all just because we are just giving an idea that how can buys and all play out. Once this is breaking above this zone, it can happen that price may give us some kind of fake out from these areas and continue moving down as we discussed. But if the buys play out above these areas, right, above this resistance which has been formed by price before, like it has not been formed right now, but if price has to drive down, it will form resistance somewhere around here. So once price breaks this resistance, then the move to the upside makes hell a lot of sense. Like this move can be pretty much easy if the resistance to the left hand side is broken, and this is going to be our range 2 breakout as well, right? And let me explain you why is this thing going to make so much sense, like this. All just because if you know simple price action, this is going to be like this. Price made a lower low, lower high, lower low, then price has broken up lower high, then it will just retest these areas and this will continue moving to the upside, right? If you know this thing, then it's going to be pretty much easy, right? Because at this point we are going to flip the market structure as well, and also we are going to change the trend on the 1h time frame, which will be after breaking this lower high. And once this lower high is broken, this move will make hell a lot of sense. And this is our area for the daily fake out. And once we are reaching up here, don't try to take buys, because we know that higher time frames are suggesting us to sell from these areas. Like, no worries, if sales don't play out from these areas, it might happen that price goes up and retest these areas and continue moving up to retest these highs at the 1873 ish areas. And it might happen that buys can just continue moving up, and uh, the trend can just go on for buys and just keep continue moving the way it is moving in the bullish way, right? So this thing has to be major thing. If this thing is not happening, like the price breaking the lower high and coming down to retest and then moving up, then don't take buys. It won't be worth it, to be honest, according to the higher time frames, because it's kind of a little bit bearish according to me, I would say. And price can easily catch you and fake out from these areas and continue moving in this range, then break below this and go down to these areas of daily support, and to fill the range which we discussed about in the beginning, right? Remember that this is the range in which we are trading up right now, and this is the range which can get filled to the bottom of these areas at the 1835ish areas and all, right? So you need to be very careful with taking buys and all, just because this thing is suggesting me bearish, and buys do make sense, a lot of sense, but wait for the market structure to flip bullish, and wait for this lower high to be created, lower high to be created, and then to get broken, and then take buys, then taking buys just on these few support formation candles, right? It won't be working out pretty much well, because we will be counter trending the higher time frames at that particular point. So pretty much this is what my idea is for the coming few weeks or days. Maybe this scenario can take like 2-3 days to play out, and then I'll be looking if we can break these areas, or maybe these areas, or we can continue trading in this particular range which we decided up at the beginning of the video. So like we will wait and see what price action will present in front of us. Till then, take care, and I wish you guys have had an absolutely amazing profitable week, the last one, and I wish you a profitable week ahead as well, and enjoy the weekend. So I'm gonna just close the recording. Thanks a lot for watching the video.